Have you ever felt like there's a part of you you've never truly met? A quiet force beneath the surface, whispering in dreams, reacting when you least expect it, pulling you toward something deeper and darker. It's the part of you that's been exiled, not because it was wrong, but because it was real. You were told to be nice, to be quiet, to be strong. And so you buried your truth, to survive. But the truth never dies. It waits, beneath the mask, behind the smile, in the silence of your soul. There is a part of the human psyche that most people never dare to meet, a part hidden behind smiles, routines, and polite conversations. Carl Jung called it the shadow. It is not evil, nor is it to be feared, but it is dangerous when ignored. The shadow is everything a person has forgotten, denied, repressed, or rejected. It is the sum of all that lives in darkness, just outside the reach of the conscious mind. It contains rage, not just the kind that erupts in anger, but the slow burning fury born from betrayal, from being silenced, ignored, or unseen. It is the rage of the inner child who was never protected, the adult who had to smile through pain, the soul who was told to be nice while injustice festered in the background. It holds jealousy, the aching sense of lack, the quiet resentment toward those who seem free to express what we had to hide. It is not petty or shallow, but a longing to be whole again, to reclaim parts of ourselves we believed we had to abandon just to be loved. It carries shame, deep, corrosive shame that whispers, "You are not enough." Shame for feeling too much, for having emotions that ran deeper than others could understand or tolerate, and being told those feelings made you weak, dramatic, or unstable. Shame for needing, for craving connection, support, and understanding in a world that often glorifies independence and punishes vulnerability. Shame for failing, not just in actions, but in living up to impossible expectations, your own, your family's, or society's, as if every misstep was a reflection of your worth. It's the invisible weight passed down through generations, never spoken of, but always present. And fear, 1,000 forms of it. Fear of being rejected, of not belonging, of facing the truth of who we are beneath the mask. Fear that if we turn inward, we'll find something unlovable. But the truth is, fear only grows when we refuse to look. But it also holds untapped power, creativity, instinct, confidence, and intuition. Gifts left behind in the pursuit of becoming acceptable. From an early age, humans begin to edit themselves. A child cries and is told, "Be strong." Another speaks their truth and is told, "Be quiet." So begins the separation of who they are from who they are expected to be. The socially approved mask, the persona, is formed. But everything that doesn't fit that mask, the raw emotions, the forbidden thoughts, the untamed instincts, anything deemed unacceptable, inconvenient, or too much, it doesn't just disappear. It gets pushed into the shadows, buried beneath layers of social conditioning, tucked away in silence and secrecy. Not because we are weak, but because we are trying to survive. This is not a conscious decision. No child wakes up one day and chooses to exile parts of themselves. It is an unconscious adaptation, a necessary strategy in a world that rewards masks and punishes authenticity. But it is also the beginning of fragmentation. The shadow doesn't disappear because it is ignored. In fact, the more it is buried, the more power it holds. It leaks through in subtle ways, in projections, compulsions, outbursts, and even illness. When a person says, "I don't know what came over me," it is often the shadow breaking through. When they judge another harshly for something they secretly fear in themselves, that is the shadow too. Carl Jung taught that what we reject in ourselves does not die. It waits, and over time the shadow can grow bitter. It demands to be seen. It cries out to be acknowledged, but there is hope. The shadow is not the enemy, it is the gateway to wholeness. To walk the path of healing, one must turn inward, not to destroy the shadow, but to integrate it. This is the essence of Jung's process known as individuation, the journey toward becoming a complete human being. Individuation is not about becoming perfect, it is about becoming real. Not the version of yourself you've learned to perform, but the unfiltered truth that lives beneath the surface. It's about becoming whole, gathering the fragmented parts of your identity, even the ones you were taught to hide, and welcoming them back into the light of your awareness. And above all, it is about becoming authentic. Not perfect, not polished, but honest. Rooted in your own inner truth, regardless of whether it fits the script others have written for you. The shadow is not to be conquered, but befriended. Not banished, but embraced. There are many ways to begin this inner work. Through dream analysis, journaling, meditation, therapy, art, and active imagination. Each of these opens a door to the unconscious, where the shadow waits. The signs are already there. A person feels stuck in patterns they can't break. They sabotage relationships. They shrink from opportunities. They carry anger with no known source. These are the fingerprints of the shadow, leaving marks that cannot be ignored. The shadow shows up where a person refuses to look, and it waits for one thing: acknowledgement. To face the shadow is to reclaim what was lost, to gather the exiled pieces of the self and bring them home. It is not a path of comfort, but it is a path of liberation. Wholeness does not come from light alone. It comes from the union of opposites, from the sacred marriage of darkness and light. The shadow does not make a person bad. It makes them human. And only by facing the full truth of one's humanity can the soul truly awaken. Carl Jung believed that the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent. In the same way, the greatest burden an adult must carry is the unlived life within themselves. The shadow holds that unlived life, quietly tucked away in the depths of the psyche, waiting for the moment you are strong enough to return to it. It waits in silence, with a kind of sacred patience, knowing that one day you will come looking for what you left behind. And when the seeker is ready, the shadow becomes the teacher, not with words, but with feeling, with insight, with pain perhaps, but also with power. To meet the shadow is to meet the self, the real self, the whole self. And only then can a person begin to walk the path. They were truly meant to walk. If this message stirred something within you, don't let it fade. Sit with it. Reflect. And when you're ready, share this video with someone else who's searching for their truth in the dark.